All right, guys. So I just got done reading a chapter in Psycho-Cybernetics, which if you haven't read it, I highly recommend this book. If you're into the power of the mind, if you like Dr. Joseph Murphy, if you like any of the thought leaders of our time in the past 100 years, all of them will talk to you about how your thoughts become things. And this book, I was just reading a chapter on releasing emotional scars, or how to mend emotional scars and give yourself a facelift. He said that oftentimes people feel cut off from the field. They feel resentful towards the world because they have this shell that they've created as a result of obviously old pains, from their past. They've been hurt before. They were in a relationship and they were hurt badly. So now they never truly they vow to never open themselves up fully to another woman. Just examples like that, just one example, but things like that, right? And he invites us to recognize that if we are to get past these emotional scars, to mend these emotional scars, and actually live a life that we want, we have to completely cut them out. We can't pretend to forgive someone if we haven't fully forgiven them. Especially if we come to them and we just stay around them by, let's say you're dating someone and they do something, they cheat on you and you forgive them. So you stay in the relationship, and you do what you're being told to do. You're being a good husband or you're being a good wife. You're doing what a good spouse is supposed to do. But at the same time, every day, you have these microaggressions towards your spouse that make his or her life, a living hell. You just have attitude about everything towards him. Even though you're still living in the same house, you did not divorce him or her. And that's not genuine. It's not going to actually help us. So, if you don't forgive someone, don't forgive them. And don't use it as a tool to get back at somebody. A lot of times forgiveness is used as a weapon, is the point that the author made in the book. And I see that happen all the time. But the most profound thing that I learned in this chapter, and the most profound thing that I honestly was reminded of, was that we can't get past certain limiting beliefs unless we're able to completely stop identifying ourselves with our mishaps, with our failures. When a baby starts walking, we know that it's going to fall many times on its road to being a fully, just never falling, just on its road to being a good walker, right? We never say, when a baby falls, we never call it a failure. We never say that it's a faller, or that it's an unwalker, or that it's an incapable of walking. We just see it as a part of the journey of learning how to walk. You're gonna fail, right? So we say, the baby fell. You're talking about what happened, not the person. The other most profound thing that I heard, right, if you can have two things that were profound, is when he was talking about stutterers. He said that the most common denominator that he found with stutterers versus non-stutterers was that the parents of stutterers used language that was indicative of the state of being of the child. So if the kid stuttered, they would say, he couldn't speak, he could not speak, while the parent of a non-stutter would say, he did not speak. He did not speak. Notice the difference is like a verb versus using a noun as an adjective to describe the person. This is why framing and labeling is so powerful. This is why it's carried on over into sales. And I love talking about sales, but I love seeing even more so the connection between the mind, like the power of the mind and what makes our reality, how the things you believe create the reality that you experience. They create your experience, and how that carries over into sales scenarios, and how you can frame a question or frame an experience for a customer so that they see what you would otherwise have to say out loud. You can pose a question in such a way that the customer is brought to their own revelation, right? And that's beautiful. I think in that same way, you can work on your own inner mechanism and on your own inner programming by labeling yourself only with the things that you desire to be. So if you desire to have a lot of money, you're not going to say, I desperately want to have a lot of money. I'm someone that will not stop until I get all of the money that I deserve, or I'll get the life that I deserve. Although that sounds like it's in the right direction, and it is in the right direction, making this tweak can change the vector, can change the likelihood of you reaching your potential, yes, and your goal tenfold if you can do this. If you can, instead of talking about what you're going to do, talking about what's gonna happen, you instead focus all of that energy, all of that belief juice on stating and declaring what type of person you are. Instead, you said, I am the type of person that gets what he wants because he works hard. I am the type of person that lives a fulfilling life. I am the type of person that is unafraid to take risks. And say this to yourself and notice the difference. Notice how much more alive you feel. Notice how much more capable you feel when you declare statements that can be true. You may not believe them right now. Your identity might be so far away from the reality that you want that to say things like that might seem like a lie. But if you really think about it, you have said far worse things about yourself and did not think or blink twice about it. And yet you repeated these things over and over and over for years and to other people. You would look for other people to convince them of your inadequacies. Why? Because you thought it would make you more acceptable to them? Because you thought, well, if the world is going to come at me, I might as well put myself down first and then I can't get hurt. But this is the exact principle that the author, I realize now, is talking about. This is the exact principle that's talked about in the book with the shell. Is like, yes, you can have a thick exterior. You can have a tough skin without having a shell that's going to block you off from the world and keep you like a recluse and a hermit in your own little bubble where you can't ever be hurt. Like, that's the other side of having such a strong outer shell. A shell, not a thick skin, but a shell, because you try to keep all of the bad stuff out to any cost. And the cost often is all of the joys in life. So you can't do that. You can do it. Of course, I'm just inviting you to live a better life. These are the things like, what the fuck am I talking about? I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying, I lost my train of thought. But it's perfect. Because every moment that passes, you get a chance to re-find yourself back in that state of being that you know you deserve to be in. Just like I did right there. So, and talking about it oftentimes makes this separation between the observer and the observed, which you're both. But when you let go of those, you can just become one. You become this one force of power, man. Anyways, I hope that made sense. I hope that you take the lessons of this chapter that I tried my best to describe, and I hope they make your life better. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.